But in this particular occasion, uh, he had had heart surgery, and we were with him in his room in the hospital, and this hospital was filled with flowers. I mean, just almost no room for any more flowers to be brought in there. And he said, and there were a number of maybe 4 or 5 of us in the room with him. And he said, there are probably some people in the hospital who are maybe don't have many friends or family, and I've got so many flowers. Could you all just take the flowers from my room and go to room, and if the people don't have flowers, go in their room, bring the flowers, talk with them, ask how they're doing. And it was the most fabulous experience. I mean, the nurses said, you have transformed all of us, and Swami, you transformed the whole hospital. We went from room to room to room, bringing flowers, talking to the people, giving love, giving energy. And again, here's a man just coming out of heart surgery, and all he's thinking about is, oh, there are people who don't have friends to bring them flowers. So, I mean, it was such a beautiful experience. And then another time, he had had hip replacement surgery, so he was in a wheelchair. And he said, maybe you all could take me up and down the hall in my wheelchair just to get out of the room. And so we were wheeling him down the hall. And at the very end of the hall, there was this old man in a wheelchair, but he was very uh, it was like his mind wasn't clear, and he was they had him strapped in the wheelchair so he wouldn't fall out. And Tommy said, oh, let's go say hi to that man. So we wheeled the wheelchair up to this man, and Swami just said, good morning. I mean, but with his soul, energy. And the man, it was like he woke up from the slumber of ages. And you could just see him kind of lifting his head, opening his eyes, focusing his eyes, and there's this radiant soul in front of him, wishing him good morning. And I don't know if he'd spoken to people in a long time, but he just said, good morning. And it was just like watching a miracle. And again, just caring. I mean, who cared about that little old man in the corner of the hospital? Fairly almost unaware of what was going on around him, but Swami cared, and he gave him energy. And who knows, but then in the man's next life, he probably didn't have a lot of years left in that life, he would pick up on that energy and start a new way of life. So it was never ending with him, just a model of caring for every soul with whom he had an encounter.
And he gave us that model to help us. So there will be people in your life right now that need energy, and maybe they're not quite as dire as that old man strapped in a wheelchair unaware, but their energy is down. Maybe they're fearful, maybe they're hurt, maybe they're grieving, maybe whatever it is. These times especially, uh, there are so many people with so many needs. Be proactive in reaching out to them. That's what Swami did. That was part of that lesson, is that don't wait for them to reach out to you. You send your flowers to people around you, flowers of kindness, flowers of support and caring, and it will, just as our actions transform that hospital, your actions will transform the little world, especially, frankly, right now, the world is a hospital. People are sick in either body or mind and emotions, and sometimes in spirit. And so be a doctor or a nurse, and reach out proactively to look and see. Just think for, when we're finished, think for a little while about who it is in your world that could maybe use a phone call, or maybe use some kind gesture, and, and try to use Swami's energy just the way he used us as his channels to carry those flowers. Now he's using you as his channels to carry kindness to people.